Welcome to the Book Boyfriend podcast, where we dish on everything from the alpha male to the sensitive soul. If you found yourself lusting after a fictional character, you've come to the right place. Here's your hosts, Faith Andrews, Elizabeth Grace, Livia Jamerlan, and B.A. Wolf. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Book Boyfriend podcast. Happy 2016. I know it's been forever since we've been here with you, but we are back with new book boyfriends and a new look. I know you've missed us, but we've been really busy with life, work, family, writing books, and all that other stuff. So we came back with a new schedule. We have books set up all the way up till April. Don't you worry. We'll be on Instagram telling you what books we're reading. But tonight we are going to be talking to you about Hawk from Mystery Man by Kristen Ashley. Unfortunately, Kristen couldn't be on with us, but we are very excited. I have a feeling we're going to be fighting over Hawk later on our Erection Selection. But I'm really excited to be back, and I hope everybody had a great holiday season. And let's kick off the new year with a new Book Boyfriend podcast. So, to set it all up, we have our wonderful B.A. Wolf, also known as Babs or Barb. Barb, can you give us the setup of the book?
Of course. Hey, everyone. All right, so let's set this book up. I didn't read the blurb because, the cover just grabbed me right away. It wasn't even necessary to read the blurb. I jumped right into the book. So I'm going to set the scene for you. We start with Gwen, our heroine. She's getting ravished to the nines by a man she doesn't even know the name of. Say what? I know, right? I thought the same thing. So I wasn't at all thinking this was how the book would go. But I gotta say, I'm all aboard this train. So let's jump into the next chapter where we see Gwen working at her desk. She's a book editor. And all of a sudden, Darla, her sister's friend, is at the door. Darla hates Gwen. Hates. So why is she there? She's there to find Gwen's sister, Ginger. She is in a lot of trouble and she's pissed a lot of people off. But she's not at Gwen's house. So Gwen, the good sister that she is, races down to Ginger's local hangout called Ride. This is where all the bad boys hang out, so of course she's on her way there, right? She's going to go remedy the situation. Enter Tack. Mm-hmm. Tack is a local badass biker in charge of the Chaos MC who tells Gwen, and he calls her Peaches, which, hello, loved that too, that her sister owes them $2 million. Gwen can't help save her ass. She's totes done. So what's a girl to do? Gwen goes home where her mystery man shows up in the light. She's only ever seen him in the dark. He comes in, ravishes her at night, and then he's done. So he knows all about her little trip to Ride. What? We get to learn a few things about our mystery man who seems to know way too much about Gwen, which freaks her out. So what we get after this is a story about a mystery man who protects Gwen from all the shit that Ginger has stirred up. But in the meantime, we get to see their relationship turn into more than just midnight sexcapades, and along the way, we get a ride worth every word.
Wow, if that wasn't a perfect setup of the book, I don't know what is. I feel like, that's a perfect synopsis. I think Kristen really should call you and ask you what you really thought. That was perfect. So why don't we go into our first impressions of the hero. Faith, what was your impression of my future husband?
Your future husband. That's what you think. But anyway, okay. It was extremely fitting that this book is called Mystery Man because my first impression was exactly that. Who is this guy? Where is he coming from? Why is he coming and going in the middle of the night? And what kind of girl is Gwen that she is letting the shit go on and doesn't even think about it? So all hell breaks loose, just like Babs just said. We find out that Gwen has a sister who is causing so much trouble. And this is when we learn to find out who this mystery man is. Cabe Hawk Delgado. First impressions, okay. He's hot. He's an ex-army dude. He's tall. He's dark. He's sexy. He's broody as all fuck. He's short and curt. And his words are just constant demands. So my first impressions were all over the place, just like Gwen. And honestly, she kind of seemed pissed in the beginning, if you think about it. She was pissed that he was bossy with her, but she was still totally intrigued. And that's kind of how I felt. And especially then when we start to get into the real crux of the book and we start to learn the type of person that Hawk really, really is and how protective he is. Come on. I was drowning basically just how much Gwen was. I mean, he's, come on, swoon-worthy, book boyfriend material. What about you, Elle?
Well, okay, when the book first opens and you find out that she's had a one-night stand with this guy, but that's fine. I didn't care about that. It's like, so what? They had a one-night stand. But then he keeps coming back for a year and a half, sneaking into her house, and they're doing it for a year and a half, and she doesn't know his name. She knows nothing about him. My first thought was like, this guy's a creeper. Like, what is up with this guy, honestly? But then, after she's been to the motorcycle club, he shows up at her door, and she's like a little flabbergasted because she's been like boning this guy for a year and a half, and she's never had a conversation with him, like, ever. So I'm just gonna read like a little paragraph that, because I loved how he came in, just like he owns shit. It's like, you know, it's like they've had a relationship for years, and he just his attitude I loved. So he says to her, "Are you fucking insane?" He barked in my face. I blinked at his surprising tone and angry question. Then I asked, "What? Strutting in to ride like you did. Jesus, are you insane?" I blinked again. Firstly, because I was confused. How did he know I went to ride? Secondly, I was more confused. What was he doing there during the day? Thirdly, I was even more confused because this unbelievably handsome face showed up and was extremely pissed off. Answer me, babe, he demanded. Yikes, he was scarier than Tack, Dog, and the entire biker gang all rolled into one. When? I said, answer me. His deep voice was beginning to rumble, but I blinked again. You know my name? He stared down at me. Then he stepped back and ran his hand over his short-cropped black hair. At the same time, he shook his head, but not even for a second did he unpin me from his ferocious growl. Jesus, babe, you're a piece of work. And then a little later, he goes on to say, it's very clear that he's been watching her because he basically like gives her this long diatribe of her life, of who her parents are, who her sister are, what she does every day. And so it carries on, and she says, for the second time that day, my jaw was slack. Then I closed my mouth only for it to fall open again. Then I closed it only for it to open to speak. How do you know so much about me? And I love his line here. He says, Sweet Pea, I know who I fuck.
That was honestly, that was a great line.
It was great. And I just loved his attitude. Like, he just kind of comes in and steamrolls over her for her own good, you know, but, and she's just more like in awe, like, wow, he's really here during the day. Like, so I just thought it was such a good scene. So even though he totally is completely alpha and just steamrolls her a lot in the book, I liked him quite a bit.
I liked him too. He was definitely the perfect alpha, all bundled into one. And we actually get to meet, though they met together, you first meet him when you're reading the book in the prologue when she's like, I'm such a slut, I just had a one-night stand, I don't even know his name. We actually realized that they met a year and a half earlier when they were at a restaurant. She's sitting there and she went with her friend Tracy, who was bartending, and she loves her Cosmos. And she's bartending and she sees him walking in and she's like, oh my goodness, I want him. I kind of want him. I really do. And she's laughing and she's twirling her hair. And it's, you know, the things we girls do when we want a guy's attention. And then he picks up to leave. And he's going to leave and she's like, crap, I lost it. So she's downing her drink and he comes up to her and it's the best line in the whole book. And I think we all agreed on it. She said, I felt a warm hand on my skin, of my lower back. I twisted my neck, looked over, and there he was. I held my breath and he asked, you coming or what? Really? That's all he said. You coming or what? That was it. That was his pickup line. You coming or what? I went. And that's where it started. Like, that was probably all the conversation that they had, the beginning, and from then on, a year and a half, and she never knew his name. He came every night, or not every night, but when he would come, he would take care of her. 3 orgasms, guys. 3. Okay? Back to back. He was superhero, as she referred to him in the book. Mm-hmm. And so he was definitely swoon-worthy. So why don't we get to our most swoon-worthy moments? Elizabeth, what was yours?
For me, okay, so it's 2 separate, and it's not like a thing that he did, it's more something that he said to her, because you kind of go into it when they first start spending time with each other in the daylight, not really knowing, like, does he really have strong feelings for her? Is he just, like, you know, being like a decent guy and doesn't want to see this innocent girl get killed? Like, what's going on? So he somehow ends up, I can't remember, but he ends up at dinner with her dad and stepmom. And it's very clear her dad and stepmom think they're, like, together, like a relationship, like a traditional, like, we've known each other forever and, you know, we're so in love. So her stepmom Meredith asks, like, how did you meet each other? And I guess she's a real romantic. So Gwen goes on this and explains what Liv just said, but she sort of like finesses it and makes it a little more romantic and says, we met at a restaurant, and as soon as he came in, I knew that he was the one. Like, my stomach did that dip, and I knew that if I was going to pick any guy in the world, that he would be the guy I would pick for me. And so after she says it, she's kind of like regretting it and feeling a little uncomfortable that she said that. So she tries to play it off to Hawk after dinner by saying, you know, basically like, well, I just said that for Meredith because she's a romantic and that's what she wants to hear. And he says to her, he says, I asked to be seated in that booth. And she says, what? He says, clocked you before you clocked me, Gwen. I stared up at him, incapable of speech. Saw you through the windows, and as I was walking up, your friend was with you, and you were doing laughing. And he says, and then he whispers to her, still see you. And I thought that was so cute how he's like, still see you. And then a little bit later, they're just like having conversation, whatever. And it says, he tenderly slid the backs of his knuckles against the skin of my cheek while he muttered, 1.5 years, totally fucking missed out. And I just loved how he was so regretful that they were just having like a physical relationship for 1.5 years, and that he realized, damn, I wish we had started this 1.5 years ago. So that was my swoon-worthy moment. What about you, Babs?
Love that one. It was almost mine. I'm glad I switched because now the readers get more swoon-worthy moments. Okay, so I have two. #sorry, not sorry. It just is, right? So we get to meet Mitch Lawson, and I don't think any of us have really covered him yet. So when Gwen has all of this shit going down because of her sister's problems, a detective enters the case, right? You got to have the PD there. Hello, hottie. Like, I pretty much fell for all three of these men. Like, they each have their own book, so I'm headed there next. But anyway, let's talk about Hawk. Actually, let's talk about Mitch, because that's who my swoon-worthy moment with right now. So Mitch is getting a statement from Gwen while Hawk's sitting next to her. Basically, she just got in, her house was broken into, and she couldn't decide whether she wanted to use a crowbar or a baseball bat to defend herself. She decided neither, and she picked up a snow globe. So she's telling Mitch this, and Mitch is like, this shouldn't have happened on your watch, Hawk. And so this is what Mitch says. He goes, I'm going to tell you what I make of this. What I make of it, Gwendolyn, is if my woman had a sister who I knew was in serious shit, she would not be having a chat with Kane Allen, which is Tack. She would not be sleeping alone, and she would not have ever to worry about whether she needs a baseball bat or a crowbar because she'd be in bed beside me. Boom! Nailed it. Oh my God. Like, I'd been like, sorry, bye, Hawk. Gotta go for just a couple nights. Okay. So there's number 2. This is Hawks, okay? Gwen finds herself curled up in a ball a lot. That's just her mechanism when she's upset. She's sad. She goes for the cookie dough and she curls herself into a ball. Hawk hates it. So he says, and you're also the kind of woman who a man sees curled into a protective ball and he's moved to do what he can to make certain that doesn't happen again. I'm pretty sure I'd be curled up in a ball every second of every day. Just get him to uncurl me. There's that. So, Liv.
Oh, wait, can I ask Babs a quick question?
Do it.
Because this book is set in Denver.
Oh.
And Babs is from Denver.
Took you guys on a little tour, okay? Because Tamayo, amazing restaurant. So when she's talking about her drinks, okay, you know exactly where it is. Been there. It's great. It's fabulous. Rock Bottom Brewery she talks about. Been there, done that. Every time she'd mention Colorado Boulevard or I-25 or all of these locations, I was there. I'm like, this is so cool. And I feel like I should go like drive around Denver and be like, this is where this happened. Ride doesn't exist, unfortunately. I wish it did because I'd probably be there. Be like, hey, what's up, dog?
Barb, I'm coming to visit you in July. I'm just saying, maybe we can let the guys go play golf and we go drive around and find Mitch or Hawk. You know,
I'm down. I'm actually trying to find Mitch's safe house so that way, you know. Like,
I need help. So we decided going forward with our podcast, we're not going to really, everybody writes a swoon-worthy moment and whatever, because we felt that the podcasts were getting kind of long and we want to make sure that the readers really understand how great this book is, and we don't want to give so much away. We want you to go and pick it up and read it, and you can email us and tell us how much you loved it. So we are going to, Faith and I are going to give you, or actually we're all going to give you our I Wish I Wrote That. We're just going to trim some parts down. Faith, what was your I Wish I Wrote That?
Okay, I'm very notorious for saying, I wish I wrote the whole damn book. And I do, because I Absolutely. I mean, listen, I will admit, I like a short book. This was not short by any means. It was long, but it was great. Every word of her, that we were just talking about this before we started taping, was just funny and great. And you laughed. And in moments of sadness, you're sitting there laughing because she found a way to make it funny. But if we're talking about, I wish I wrote that. Again, we're authors. So there are certain parts of these books that we're like, damn, why didn't I think about that? Okay. Kristen Ashley was freaking insanely genius that she found a way to not only make Hawk this man that you're like, holy shit, book boyfriend, but like 3 men plus some. There was Troy, there was this one, there was that one. Every way you turned around, there was another guy. And you're like, and wait, the names. I don't know. She had this amazing list of names that was just sick that I loved. But anyway, okay. So to me, the whole quotable thing was that every one of those guys had some sort of one line or a pickup line that just I would read and be like, holy shit, he did not just say that. So I think who said it before earlier? Hawk, when they have their whole interaction that first night and she's sitting there and he finally just says to her his pickup line, he says, you coming or what? I mean, come on. Like, honestly, that was just a great pickup line. It was so cocky, so Hawk, so amazing, and I loved it. Tack, this amazing, this rough and tough biker who I kept thinking of, like Madeline Sheehan. I kept thinking of like those biker books, and I'm seeing him, but she kept describing every man that she met as this hot guy, hotometer. She kept saying the hotometer was blinking and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, wow, this girl, as unlucky as she is that she has all this shit surrounding her, she's everywhere she turns is this freaking hot guy, like one hotter than the other. So, okay, Tack, towards the end of the book, plays a big role for her, in kind of rescuing her at one point. And he says to her, when you come to me, Gwen, it's got to be because you want to come to me, not because you need to come to me. And it's got to be that way, not just for me, but for you. So it showed that he wasn't just this rough and tough biker, but he did have a heart, and he did not have feelings for her, but, want to be there for her. And then we talked a lot about Mitch Lawson, Mr. Detective Man. And there's a moment that they have at the end where they almost get a little bit close, and she basically begs him, please don't kiss me, please don't kiss me. And he gets kind of close, and he finally says to her, I won't kiss you, but just for your information, I've had no complaints. And you're like, left, holy shit. So those are I wish I wrote that, because I want to write men like that. Who's up next? Elle, I think that's you.
Okay. Mine wasn't like a one-liner. Like usually I have like a one-line simile or metaphor, but this time I think it's just overall, I picked a little section that was a good description of it. It's just like her banter back and forth between the men and the women in the book that I just love. She does it so well. And so I love this section. So Gwen says, are you asking me out on a date? I asked just to confirm. Sweet pea, I've been fucking you for a year and a half. My belly stops being squishy. I know. So no, I'm not asking. I'm telling you. Dress, heels, I'll be there at 7:30. She's like, are you asking me on a date? He's like, no, because we've been banging for a year and a half. So I'm just telling you, we're going out. I don't know. I just love the banter in general in this book. So I thought it was fabulous. What about you, Babs?
Okay, again, I have 2. I know, but they're short. Okay, so the first one is like a super sweet, sensual, because I'm all about the romance. Gwen tells Hawk, I'm drowning in you and I don't want to come up for air. And it's just like, like, as funny as this book was, like, I remember sitting on the couch and just dying laughing. I would have tears coming down my eyes because Gwen is just such a spitfire and she's just so funny. But then there's these moments that you're just like, oh, take a moment. Okay. Then we meet Hawk's secretary lady, Elvira. Oh my goodness. This woman is a hoot. Love her. So she ends up having to do a lot for Gwen. She helps pack up her house and her bags to take her to Hawk's house. She gets there and she says, girl, thank you. Sorting through your shit was like a trip to female Candyland. You got 13 little black dresses. I died. Cracks me up. And it's just those funny little quirky things. So those are I wish I wrote those. Liv?
Now I will forever have Elvira's voice in my head as yours. And since I knew that Elle was going to find something very sexy that Hawk says, and Faith was going to find something loving and yumminess, and she actually found it from 3 different men. See what I'm saying? And so I decided to go with you, Barb, on your second one with Elvira, because I thought she should get her own book. You know, like, I feel like she is so great and so funny. And So she invited herself to girls' night, right? She just, Gwen is like all confused and she doesn't know what she's gonna do. And Hawk is telling her to stop living inside her head, that he really wants something with her. And she's like, oh my God. And she's like, I need a girls' night. And Elvira's like, okay, I'll come over. And she's like, well, I was kind of like looking for like my friends. And she's like, okay, I'll be there. And so they're like drinking and they're eating and it's girls' night. You're conversing over this guy that's just whatever. And so she starts telling the girls about how Hawk had gave her 3 multiple orgasms, and it was like consecutive back to back. And Elvira says, and I thought this was like the best, I wish I wrote that. I need to quit, Elvira announced. I gotta turn in my resignation. I can't work for a man knowing his capacity to give pleasure. And I thought, like, I just sat there like, that was like a perfect line for the whole book. And now I can't do the Barb voice, but that was I wish I wrote that. And which leads us to our erection selection, also known as our favorite part because Elizabeth brings props. So, Barb, what about you? Who's your erection selection?
Okay, this one was actually kind of hard just because in your head, I have military man, I have hot, sexy alpha man, I have man who takes you on a date, I have biker man, right? Like you just have so many men in your head that is one version of Hawk. But I think I found my man. His name is Nicholas Gonzalez, and I will flash you a quick pic. This is my Nicholas, or this is my Hawk. I picture him. I just need the cargos, right? Because he always wears his cargos and a tight tee.
Yep.
That's my man. So, all right. How about who's next? Liv?
I picked Pedro. I'm trying to Google him here, people. Pedro, what is his last name?
Salt.
Everybody must know who Pedro is.
I know. If you were in the indie community, he's known as the yummy guy who's like everybody's book boyfriend. But I'm trying to find a good Hawk picture of him. Okay, because you have to understand, he's Hawk is described as Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Italian, which also means caliente.
Okay, talk. We need to see the pic.
Oh, here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right?
That blows Nicholas out of the water. Sorry, Nick. Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
So, Faith, who is yours erection selection?
All right. You guys are going to think I'm really weird. I could not get Vin Diesel's voice out of my head. I just kept hearing him. I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. Vin Diesel never did. I don't know. But I just kept picturing him. So then I'm looking on. Yeah, like because that's how he was. And he's this dude who doesn't he only eats cottage cheese and vegetables and shit like that. So, but he's got to be like buff. And she keeps describing him that way. He's ex-Army, but he's Puerto Rican, like you said, caliente. So I searched and I found this guy. And I actually think he's Hawaiian, believe it or not. But he looks, I don't know. This is my Hawk. Can you guys see his name? Wait, where?
We're gonna, okay.
Hawk.
A little bit more.
Manu Bennett?
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
He just, I don't know. He reminded me of him. So I'm okay with that. I'm visualizing this. Glad it's not Vin Diesel anymore. Elle, I want to see a picture.
Okay. Because the way Livy said I was bringing props, I thought maybe I was supposed to have different.
No, we don't need
or something. Here's my erection selection.
This one is Hawk, ladies.
This massive one right here. That's
tried, tested, and true.
Got 3 out of this one. This one's definitely Hawk.
Okay, so I did the same as Faith. I searched, and it's a big job. It's a big responsibility to come up with these men. So I found this guy called Andrew Mull. And he kind of reminded me, he's really similar to kind of what I had.
Up. I need to see the abs.
Oh, there you go. There's the abs.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I really needed, so I got that one, and then I printed another one. Just, so we could have different views of him.
That is Hawk.
Yeah, that's pretty close to what I had in my head. So his name's Andrew Mull, and he's a model. So that is
he's
just going for a walk in the park here. What are you talking about?
My neighbor. No big deal.
So that was my guy.
Love it.
Sorry, I was over here coughing. Oh God, we're all sick. Damn, winter finally came to Jersey. had 70-degree weather for Christmas, but whatever. That moves us on to our next Kiss, Marry, Do, which if you are familiar with the podcast, this is when our claws come out and we start threatening each other and we swear we're not going to speak to each other ever again because at the end of the day, Maximum is still mine.
You wish.
So,
Boss move. Boss move.
so, why don't we start with our Kiss, Marry, Do? Elizabeth, you go first because you know who I'm picking.
Okay. Well, Archer I will kiss because, I need to get Archer in there some way. I just love him. Maxim I'm going to marry because I always say I need that on the regular. And so I am marrying Maxim. I am. And then I would do Hawk because 3 orgasms, I need to experience a little bit of that for sure. Absolutely. What about you, Babs?
Okay, well, as much as I love Archer, I just would rather him go fix my house because he's such a handyman, and I'll just stare and drool. So I'm gonna kiss Alec because, I just want him to make sure he wears his glasses and stuff and looks all hot, and then I want him to grab my neck because he likes that, and I might too. So I'm gonna marry Maxim because he asked me. I don't know what you're smoking over there in Canada, but I'm married to him. So let's get that straight. Yeah, I know, Russo. I know, honey. It's just. Then I'm gonna do Hawk because enough said. Yeah, I need some mystery man nightly sexcapades in my life. So
you need some mystery meat in your life.
I need some props. Just Hawk. I need a 3-banger. So there's the. Actually, can we invite Mitch and Tacken too? Yes. Why they can't play.
That's great.
Okay, anyway, going back. Okay, I know, Russo. I'll be there in a minute. Faith, it's your turn.
How the freak do I follow that? Okay. I'm kissing Archer because he's silent with his words. He has no words. He's silent. He's got to speak. He's silent with his words. Clearly, no one wants to wish they wrote what I write. Okay. What I was trying to get out, Archer doesn't speak. So he speaks other ways. I want to learn his language of love with kissing. Anyway, moving on. We read Sacrifice by Adriana Locke and Crew. I want to marry Crew because he's a man of his word. He's a man of honor. He will protect and sacrifice the woman he loves. That's who I want to marry. And yes, come on. We all want to bang Hawk. He freaking 3 orgasms in 30 minutes. Dude, sign me up. So that's my list. You can all have Maxim. Go ahead, next.
Oh, ladies. I picked myself to go last because I'm hosting the podcast, so I get to the last word of who I get to marry. But, contrary to popular belief, I don't want to marry Maxim. Kind of over him. Next. Okay. I'm not fighting him with you.
Sacrilege.
I am going to kiss Alec because, hello, he was my first book boyfriend when we started the Book Boyfriend podcast, and I love him forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, so I'm going to kiss him. I'm going to do Maxim because while you bitches go to work, he'll be home doing me. And I'm going to marry Hawk because a man who'll give you 3 orgasms, you marry. That's what you do.
So then that means I'm his Thursday. Not a big deal. I'll take it.
As long as I'm not his, you girls are his fillers.
I was going to say, am I filler then?
You're a filler.
Sorry, you're filler, sweetie.
So I'm going to marry Hawk, and we're going to live in his lair of stuff. And I'm going to cook him breakfast. It's going to consist of steamed broccoli and egg whites, and we're just going to be happy together.
But he doesn't put sauce on his noodles. What kind of man is that?
Clearly, that's a deal breaker for you, but it's not for me because I really don't like sauce on my noodles. I kind of prefer, a little olive oil. Whatever he likes, I'm fine with. So,
all right, I'll see him tomorrow night or I'll see him on Thursday. Not a big deal.
I'm seeing him tonight, babe. Going upstairs soon, honey. I'm coming, like you did. All right, so
Maxim's gonna get jealous.
So that kind of wraps up our Book Boyfriend podcast. We are back for 2016 with a new look, new book boyfriends. We will be reading The Air He Breathes, right? That's the name of the book we're reading next?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure because I haven't started it yet. which I just look at the cover. I don't care what it says on it. It's
Frangie.
exactly like, I don't care if it just said, the worst thing ever across the cover. I'd be like, but look at the cover. I need to have it.
Chlamydia.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe. It's like signs of chlamydia. Anyways, that's the book we'll be reading next. You can stay in contact with us. We are now on Instagram, so make sure you follow our Instagram page. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we have bookboyfriendpodcast.com. You can email us if there's a special book boyfriend, if you are part of a street team, if you read this author that you absolutely love and you can't get her out of your head, or you can't get that book boyfriend out of your head, send us an email. Send us a private message. You can find me. I'm Livia Jamerlin. You have Faith Andrews, Elizabeth Grace, B.A. Wolf. You can send us a PM and be like, hey, this is a great book boyfriend. You guys need to read them. We'll add them to our list. Why not? So 2016 is a big year for us, and I hope you guys will stay tuned. Until next time, say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. You can find out who will be on upcoming shows and what books we'll be discussing, as well as more about our hosts at www.bookboyfriendpodcast.com. See you next time when we add another boyfriend to the ranks.